Begin, I want to call to your attention that there are two items that are lighted up, two icons that are lighted up on your side of the screen. You'll notice it says polls and offers. For the polls, every week of the class, I offer an optional poll. It's not necessary for you or required for you to answer this poll, but it provides really useful information for me when I create the syllabi for the class. And then underneath that, you'll notice there's offers. This is not an offer. It's just this being a free class. If you would like the option to donate to or tip to your instructors, you could go ahead and click on that button and it will access a way to tip your instructor. And so we shall begin. Like I put in the chat, I hope you could hear me okay, and your audio's working well. Do let me know if it is not, and I'll try to make some adjustments if I can. But my name is Phynne-Belle, and I am a poet, a podcaster, and a host and organizer from the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm also a co-director with the Poetry Global Network and the platform that I have that brings poetry and literary programs to our global online community. Our online global poetry community is called Phynne-Belle. And so to introduce these sessions, for each of them, what I'd like to concentrate our energies on are some effective skills that will get us into the right momentum of writing. Remember that these things that you're going to be doing today, they could be very well be first drafts to a piece that you later finesse to be shared or published. This is also your space right here where I want you to develop and strengthen your spoken word poetry and your knack for storytelling. So first, what we're going to do is you're going to be given the initial spark to your idea. That initial spark is by way of 5 successive prompts in rapid fire order. Next, I would like us to engage in those sprints. This is where you free write for a short period of time. The period is predetermined. I give you about 4 to 5 minutes. And within this period, I do ask that you do not stop to make any edits. You just continue to free write. Whatever is in your mind, put it down to paper. Don't bother to look at sentence structure. Don't bother to look at punctuation. Don't bother to think if it makes logical sense. Just write it down. And then finally, if you so wish at the very end, if time allows 5 to 15 minutes, we will allow for everybody who is in the room or who's present to take a moment and read their piece out loud, should they wish. Again, this part is optional. You don't have to step up to the mic to read it. So how these sessions will go, I'm going to present 5 successive prompts that we will take a few minutes to write to, like I said previously. Please remember that you're not stopping to edit. When you have completed all 5 of your prompts, and again, if time allows, I highly encourage you, optional, highly encouraged, but, please use your own comfort level, whether you want to do so or not, is to step up to the mic and to share your piece out loud in front of the class. What I think this does for you is that it helps you when you go back later. Not only does it help you to refine and practice your spoken word poetry, it gives you an opportunity beforehand to be able to listen with your own ears, to find the internal rhythm, rhyme, cadence of your piece. So if you do choose to go back over it later, you get a good idea. It's a very helpful tool to help you to refine your poem and see if it should have new line breaks, if there should be a change of a word that didn't quite hit as well as when you wrote it on the paper. There can be some small variations moving it from the page to being a spoken piece of poetry. So Before you begin, I always like to start the class by having you repeat after me. Please repeat this either to yourself softly. You could repeat it in your mind, close your eyes, or repeat it out loud. You know, if you are in an empty room and you're not really bothering anybody at this time of the night, you could yell it out into the room. Say, I am a poet. I am a writer. And I want you to please remind yourself that no one can tell you any differently. You've said it, you've put it out into the ether. It is manifesting itself. Please bear in mind that as creative souls, we like to thrive on feedback. We are encouraged by the feedback and the encouragement of our peers. So please be very profuse if you do hear somebody within the space, or make it a practice as well, when you move into other spaces, both live and online, to to be very profuse with your praise and your encouragement, and tell them exactly what you like about the poetry. If you're not somebody who's been critiquing or giving feedback to poetry, the simplest thing you can do is take a line from the poem or the piece, type it out in the chat, and tell them, this is exactly what I liked about it. This line really moved me. Please leave any sort of judgment of your piece or anybody's piece out of this realm. This is our realm for creating. This is our realm for enjoying the process of creation. So finally, I'd like to invite you to take a deep breath in with me. Once in through the nose and out through the mouth. We're going to breathe for 4 seconds, hold it in for 8 seconds, and breathe out slowly through our mouth for 6 seconds. Let us begin. Close your eyes if it helps. So breathing in through the nose. Hold that breath. Let it out through your mouth. I hope that felt good and put you in the state of mind to just start your creating of your piece. Okay, so we're going to get right into the prompts. Like I said, 5 prompts. You're going to get 4 minutes to write to each of the prompts. I'm going to post it as soon as I tell you what the prompt is, and just go wild. Let your imagination take over. First prompt. I want you to write about a person who lives half the day as one person and the other half as another person. Put into consideration, are they leading a double life? Do 2 people exist in one body? Is this a ruse? Get truly creative. Write about a person who lives half the day as one person and the other half as another person. So start right now. I'm going to set a timer for 4 minutes. Please begin. We now have approximately a minute left on the timer. So go ahead and begin to wrap up whatever it is you're writing to this particular prompt. Okay, pens up. I hope you had some good writing done with that particular prompt. Do let me know in the chat what you think about it, and a little bit about your idea if you have the time. So we're going to move right along. We're moving to prompt number 2. Prompt number 2, with these words, you change a person's mind. With these 3 words, you change a person's mind. And here are the 3 words. They're blank, orchid, and wake. Blank, orchid, and wake. Tell us how this comes to be, please, in the form of a poem or a story, or obviously in the time frame that you're given, the beginning of a poem or story. Again, with these 3 words, you change a person's mind. Blank, orchid, wake. I'm going to give you 5 minutes on the clock starting now. Time is up. We are almost halfway through the prompts. So I hope that you are getting some good writing in, and the prompts, you're finding them suitably challenging, but with enough spark to inspire you to write something that you could later continue working on. So moving along to our third prompt. Our third prompt is, the last thing that you remember is being at work and getting drowsy sometime during the midday. You snap up and you find yourself, when you do wake up, that you're upon a throne with a large hall full of cloaked figures that are bowing at your feet. The last thing you remember is that you were at work and getting drowsy sometime during the midday. When you awaken, you snap up and find yourself upon a throne with a large hall full of cloaked figures bowing at your feet. So tell us a little bit of what's happening in here. I'm going to give you 4 minutes to do so. Timer starts now. Okay, that is the time up for the third prompt. Before we move right on to the fourth prompt, I wanted to call to your attention that I put in the chat the links that you can access through Eventbrite for the next class coming up. I also have a class as well on Sundays. The Sunday one is a paid class. It's a little bit more intensive. We go more deeply into observing and picking apart and discussing the prompts themselves. So if that's something that you feel you'd be interested in, do look into checking out a Sunday session. And again, like I said a little while ago, optional poll. If you wanted to answer that, it is available. It's I see it's still lit up. But if that's not your thing, if a poll's not your thing, that's completely fine. So number 4 prompt, pretend you have jumped back in time, or rather, pretend that you have jumped back in our timeline to a historical period of your choice. And you are a prominent historical figure for that one day. So you could pretend, for example, that you are Madame du Barry, Malcolm X, Alexander Hamilton, Lady Godiva, somebody, a historical figure, Marie Antoinette. And please tell us about that day. Hint at what is possibly altered when you take over for that one day. I'd like you to pretend that you have jumped back in our timeline to a historical period of your choice, and that you are a prominent figure, historical figure for the day. Please tell us about that day, and please hint, if at all possible, at what is irrevocably altered when you do take over that role for one day. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and give you 4 minutes on the timer. Please start now. Okay, timer has rung, and we are done with that last prompt. And so we have one more prompt to go before we get into the last prompt of the evening. I would like to assign you your optional homework. And the stress word on that is optional. This is for your own enrichment. You are welcome to write it during the week in between the two sessions, this session and the next session, or you can just completely ignore it. It is really truly for your own enjoyment and also to further anything that you may have been working on today. If you find it useful at all, you can take one of the prompts that you did today and combine it with the homework, or you can you could create something completely new. So our optional homework is I'd like you to do a fairy tale remix, a fairy tale remix. So check out your favorite children's story from the library or one that you already have on your shelf at home, or you could look one up online, whatever is most convenient for you. Out of the lines taken from the tale that you chose, in its entirety, or you can choose a section of the story depending on its length, I would like you to create what is called a found poem. If you do not know what a found poem is, basically what it is that you take existing text and refashion them into a poem. So you're taking text, original text from that piece you chose, and you're fashioning it into a poem. And to learn more about the form of a found poem, I'm going to give you a little bit of background information and resources. So I'm going to put that all in the chat. If you have any questions, I also did put in the chat my email so we can keep in contact during the week's period if you have any questions about these prompts or anything that was brought up in the session. And finally, we have prompt number 5. Prompt number 5, I want you to write a letter that is to be opened in 50 years from now. Sort of like a time capsule. Write a letter that is to be opened 50 years from now in 2072. Who would you address it to? And what would this letter be about? Write a letter that is to be opened in 50 years' time in the year 2072. Who would you address it to? What would it be about? You have 4 minutes to write to this. 4 minutes start now.
Starting now.
And so that concludes our prompts for tonight. And so now is the point of the session. This is the point of the session where I invite you up to share your pieces, should you feel comfortable to do so, or should you want to do so. And you could do that by, you'll notice on the right-hand side of your screen, of this Webinar Jam screen, you'll see the speak icon, which is the icon of a raised hand. You could click on that, and it will allow me to invite you on to be part of the live session, and you could read out loud. Your other option is we will take the remaining 10 minutes for you to just silently write. It is completely optional. The floor is now open to you to do either. So either if you wanted to share your piece out loud, take a little practice, this is the space to do so. But if you want to instead use the remaining 10 minutes to continue writing on one of the prompts or continue writing on a project to work on, this is your writing time. If I don't get to talk to you before the session ends, hope that you have a good rest of your evening, a restful evening, and a good weekend. Take care. I hope you enjoyed the session. I hope to see you next week. Please have a good weekend and have a good night. Take care.